All right, back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Back in the saddle for another edition of the All Access Football Daily Show here, live 7 days a week. It's our 36th consecutive episode here on this October 6th, 2025. And it is your home for real football talk. I mean, we're going to get it all in today. NFL, NCAA, NFL Draft. We may even touch base on the Canadian Football League if we have time. Of course, the Monday Night Football affair, and what a wild week across the football universe, right? Whether it's college, NFL, the NFL power rankings, it's time to just tear them up, start all over in the NFL because no more unbeaten teams. Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles showing their flaws, falling for the first time this season, and of course, the Tennessee Titans and New Orleans Saints, who dat? Getting off the snide there, and the woeful New York Jets remain the lone winless team in the National Football League. We'll get into all that and more. Of course, NCAA, very interesting. The top two preseason teams, Texas Longhorns, Penn State Nittany Lions, no more in the top 25 poll. How about that? We'll dive into that. We also have the NFL Draft Watch, courtesy of the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department. You can follow along over at allaccessfootball.com. We have an 8-pack of NFL prospects who caught our attention from over the weekend, led by Ty Simpson, the Alabama signal caller, making a name for himself. Of course, we got CFL action. Hopefully we get that in today. And a couple of good guests lined up for you throughout the week. We're working the phone lines hard. So far, we do have Howard Balzer confirmed for Wednesday, each and every Wednesday, celebrating 50 years of covering the NFL. Of course, a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. We didn't get in our Hall of Fame debate last week. I promise you we'll do it this week. We'll take a look at the logjam at the wide receiver position. And just confirmed for Thursday, we're going to delve into the United Football League with our good friend James Larson, who's all over it. I mean, there's not a more thorough reporter when it comes to the United Football League, and they are now moving 3 organizations. So we'll have James Larson on Thursday to give us the lowdown there, and a couple other really good guests we got lined up for you. Of course, last week was locked and loaded, and if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please smash that like button. Just a quick reminder, we are isolating all of our guest interviews over on the YouTube channel, along with daily reels. If you don't catch the full hour of power, you can get highlights of the show over on YouTube. And we appreciate all the love and support here as we just continue to move through this football season. Hard to believe it's October 6th, 2025, all the way live. And we took a little bit of a lump with our predictions on the Sunday Pick'em show. 5-7 yesterday against the spread, including Thursday, 5-8 on the week, which brings us to 43-35 on the season against the spread. We'll get that Monday Night Football prediction later on in the show. But I mean, it was a topsy-turvy affair. We started off in the National Football League, and we mentioned Buffalo Bills falling to the New England Patriots late last night, and the Philadelphia Eagles losing to the Denver Broncos, the Hail Mary coming up just short at the end of that ball game. And hey, we're just under 200 days away from the 2026 NFL Draft, and the Tennessee Titans and New Orleans Saints are off the snide, which means we're looking at the New York Jets potentially holding that number 1 pick, and I do believe that would be a quarterback if they remain in that spot. But I mentioned a crazy, wild NFL Sunday, at least. And yeah, the Tennessee Titans come from 18 points behind to defeat the Arizona Cardinals 22-21. The Panthers overcame a 17-point deficit to beat the Dolphins in a wild fourth quarter shootout, 27-24. You saw Mike McDaniel just dejected walking back to the locker room, and you wonder what his future is. How about the Broncos coming back from 14 points down in the fourth quarter to upset the Philadelphia Eagles? A.J. Brown calling out Jalen Hurts in the post-game presser and saying Hurts missed, didn't have good timing. We'll continue to keep tabs on the drama in the city of brotherly love. How about the New Orleans Saints, man? I thought the Giants were going to do it again. Boy, was I wrong. After giving us a week of hope and optimism, they make all these complaints about the turf at the MetLife Stadium. Well, the turf monsters got them down there in the Superdome. Jackson Dart putting the ball on the carpet. Cam Scatterboo putting the ball on the carpet. All kinds of turnovers for the New York Giants. And the Commanders overcame a 10-point deficit to beat the Chargers. Chargers were actually up 10-0. Commanders scored 27 unanswered points. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double-digit come from behind victories on Sunday. So a lot of these games went down to the wire. Another one was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Seattle Seahawks. This was probably the game of the day, and the Bucs coming out 38-35. The Chase McLaughlin, they're calling it the Michael Jordan game. He was battling the flu all night long. As the folklore goes, he nails a 39-yard field goal as time expires. And these Bucs, man, they've got grit, they got toughness, they got Baker Mayfield, which means what? 4 consecutive wins now in the final minute of the game. First team, well, they did lose one game, so it's not 4 consecutive, but all 4 of their wins in the final minute of the game. The first team in NFL history to do that. And this was a QB-friendly affair, right? Between 2 friends from their Carolina Panthers days. Hey, you'd think the Panthers would like one of these quarterbacks back? Mayfield, 29-33, 379 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Darnold, not too shabby either, 28-34, 341 with 4 touchdowns. This is actually the first game in NFL history that 2 quarterbacks had a 80% completion percentage and 325 passing yards, and completion percentages seem to be up around the league, unless your name is Cam Ward. But hey, he pulled it off this week. And how about Emeka Ibuka? Does it ever stop? He's a can't stop, won't stop situation. Emeka Ibuka, 7 catches, $163, adds another touchdown, more history. NFL history, that is. 25 catches, 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns through the first 5 games of his NFL career. First player to ever to do that. Very impressive there for the early front runner for NFL Rookie of the Year. A couple other milestones before we get into some game breakdowns. Keenan Allen. This one was surprising to me because you don't think of him in this category, but he is now the fastest player in NFL history to catch 1,000 balls. He does it in 159 games. It's actually 8 games fewer than the previous record holder in Marvin Harrison Sr. So kudos to Keenan Allen. The Baltimore Ravens, we'll get to them later on in the show, but Derrick Henry did tie Sweetness, Walter Payton, for 5th all-time with 110 rushing touchdowns. Alvin Kamara still getting it done, man. 590 receptions. We talked about it on Sunday. He is now 5th amongst NFL running backs all time in terms of receptions. And Saquon Barkley, the Eagles didn't get it done, but he is now just the 6th player during the Super Bowl era to have 50 receiving touchdowns and 50 rushing touchdowns and 15 receiving touchdowns through the first 100 games of his career. And this is notable just because of the company he joins. And you take a look at the names on this list: Marcus Allen, Hall of Famer; Marshall Faulk, Hall of Famer; Chuck Foreman; Alvin Kamara, who we just mentioned; and Christian McCaffrey. So Saquon Barkley joining some elite company there from your Sunday standouts. Now, we talked about Tampa Bay, Seattle, Denver, and Philadelphia was another classic. And we mentioned it, Denver trailing by 2 touchdowns there in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts sacked 6 times in this ball game, and the Broncos have the most dominant pass rush in the National Football League, hands down. Nobody's even close to these guys. They've got now 21 sacks through 5 games, which puts them in front of their pace last year when they led the NFL with 62 sacks. So in their last 22 games, the Denver Broncos have 83 sacks. That's pretty impressive for the Sean Payton and company. And, Philadelphia, man, I don't know what we make of this offense. They actually just handed the ball off one time in the second half. Saquon Barkley getting 9 carries, 8 of them in the first half. And then, you saw Hurts taking some shots downfield, and he hit A.J. Brown. He was targeting Devonta Smith, but A.J. Brown unhappy again with this post-game presser comments with the reporters around the locker room saying he didn't see the ball. We missed. The timing wasn't there. So, I don't know. There's some kinks in the armor, should we say, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know. It's time to reevaluate that, and they'll get a get right game with the New York Giants. In fact, they play the Giants 2 out of the next 3 weeks, so we won't really see the Eagles truly tested anytime soon. But definitely concerning for your defending Super Bowl champions. All right, the Washington Football Commanders, they go down 10-0 in the return of Jaden Daniels, but they rally back and just zoom by the Chargers, 27 unanswered points. They take this one, and the Chargers now with more bad news. You hate to see it. Omarion Hampton leaves this game with an ankle. They're already losing Damian Harris for the season. And we already know about Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater, Khalil Mack also down. And suddenly now the Chargers, who were out to a phenomenal start at 3-0, they sit at 3-2. And we mentioned that the AFC West is very competitive. You got the Chiefs in action tonight coming on strong. You got the Broncos coming off an impressive victory over the Eagles. Of course, they fell to the Chargers earlier in the season, but it's still wide open. And, Jaden Daniels, he connects with Luke McCaffrey for a 50-yard touchdown. Deebo Samuel adds another score. And you take a look at what they did without Terry McLaurin, without Noah Brown. Very impressive for this Commanders offense. And it's led by Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. 111 rushing, 39 receivers, otherwise known as Bill. And for the Chargers, they had a terrible mistake on the kick return execution there. And I've given Marlo Wax, the undrafted free agent, a little bit of props here on the show, but costly mistake there, rookie mistake, roughing the kicker, erases a Ladd McConkey 47-yard kick return for a touchdown. A very nice run, by the way, but that was erased off the board by the Marlo Wax penalty. And, Justin Herbert was pressured 3 times or 12 times in this one, 3 sacks, and he would eventually give way to Trey Lance there at the end of the game. So Washington, you got to be excited about the direction that they're heading in. They should get healthier. They should get better. Remember, they gave the Eagles a little bit of a scare there last season in the playoffs before the Eagles ran away with it in the second half. And then we mentioned Buffalo also falling to the New England Patriots. And we mentioned this on yesterday's show. These were the top 2 teams in the AFC East. And you look at the Buffalo Bills resume, like they've got wins over the Ravens, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints. And when they faced a good team there last night in New England, they couldn't get it done. And Drake May is clicking. How about Stephon Diggs return to Buffalo? He grabs the game winner. Big day for Stephon Diggs. And Sean McDermott now falls to 6-8 all time against the New England Patriots. And I just wonder about this Sean McDermott. I question his leadership, especially ever since those dumb 9/11 comments. I just said, how is this guy a National Football League head coach? And I mean, I think he's just a byproduct of Josh Allen. I'd like to see them get a real head coach in there and get that team over the hump, because they won the division the last 5. I think this will be the 6th consecutive year if they do it again. At a certain point, man, the window becomes a little bit closed, and you might need to find somebody else to take that team over the hump there in Buffalo. We shall see. Uh, what else we got cooking over here? How about the Colts and another 40 burger by Indiana Jones? I mean, their offense is explosive. Their defense is phenomenal. What was it, 40-3 over the Las Vegas Raiders? Geno Smith just turnovers all over the place. This is the third win by the Colts by at least 20 points. And Geno Smith now eight interceptions already on the season. You wonder now if Pete Carroll and company consider turning the attention over to Kenny Pickett, who they acquired right before the season from the Cleveland Browns. I think it's just a matter of time before they at least give it a shot and kick the tires on a Kenny Pickett experiment there in the desert. We also had the London game. All right. Carson Wentz hits Jordan Addison, who was benched the first quarter. Coach's decision. Apparently, he missed the walkthrough on Friday, and Justin Jefferson had a long-hearted talk with Addison, but Addison delivers with a 12-yard touchdown with just 25 seconds remaining in the game as the Vikings pull it out in London. They'll have two more games there in London over the next 2 weeks, and Justin Jefferson had 123 receiving yards. His 7,881 career receiving yards now passes Jerry Rice and Calvin Johnson, Megatron, for the most receiving yards through his first 6 seasons. Only Randy Moss and Torrey Holt have more through their first 6 seasons. So you talk about Justin Jefferson's place in NFL history. Pretty fascinating stuff there. And Dylan Gabriel, a lot of bad quarterback play around the league. Dylan Gabriel actually looked pretty competent throughout this game. And of course, we were streaming on the live stream during this one. But a couple other news and notes. We mentioned the Ravens are on the ropes, and they got throttled, didn't they? 49-10. Houston beat down. And, I don't know what to make of the Baltimore Ravens. It looks like Lamar Jackson's going to miss at least another week. Cooper Rush couldn't get it done. And the Ravens looks like their season could be over early here in the 2025 campaign. Some other news and notes we're trying to get to as much as we can here. Well, we got to get to we talked about top performers. We got to take a look at the lowlights from Sunday, and DeMarcado there for the Cardinals with a costly goal line fumble. You see these guys fumbling before they even cross the end zone, dangling that ball like a loaf of bread, and here comes Imari DeMarcado with a loaf of bread. I don't know. It looked like it got knocked out and rolls through the back of the end zone. Just a costly mistake. You saw Jonathan Gannon actually, give DeMarcado a slap, like, yo, get your head in the game. So Gannon not too happy about that. And then I mentioned it on my morning hit that I usually do before the show. We need a SOS out here in Jersey. The Yankees are killing me. And over the last 10 years now, this is remarkable. I've hit you with a lot of stats here. This one is truly unfathomable. And over the last 10 years in the National Football League, no two teams have lost more games than your New York Giants and New York Jets. It is just ugly, 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 ugly football. And I told you on Sunday, with the Dallas Cowboys down 5 starters, if the Jets lose this one, I will never pick them again for the rest of the season. And clearly they don't deserve to be picked. Aaron Glenn, I mean, what kind of defense is that? Where did the Jets go from here? I'm not sure. That's a rhetorical question because we've been asking that for the past 45 years. Really. And listen, I'm not here to dump on the Jets, but they are the worst team in football once again. And the Giants not much better. And I was wrongo about that one. You saw the Giants fans down there taking over Bourbon Street on Saturday night. That was probably the highlight there for the Giants fans because Jackson Dart falters in this 26-14 loss, a fumble and 2 interceptions for Dart. Cam Scadaboo with a costly fumble. And how about Spencer Rattler rallying the troops, come from behind victory? You know what? Spencer Rattler's stating a case for himself now. He's fending off Tyler Shuck, keeping the rookie on the bench. Saints are probably going to be in play at the top of the draft. Makes you wonder if Spencer Rattler continues to perform, if they will feel comfortable with him moving forward in the long term. But uh, those are your NFL news and notes for the most part. And anything we didn't cover today, we'll try to sneak it in tomorrow's edition on the All Access Football Daily Show, because we got to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to turn our attention over to the NCAA landscape. We'll get into some top 25. Of course, we'll have some NFL draft talk. If we have time later on in the show, we'll get some Canadian Football League talk in. And of course, we've got a Monday night football affair that we'll preview for you at the end of the show. So don't go anywhere. Keep it locked, and we'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. All right, we're back at it again. All right, seeing a place to be. Ric Serritella telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. It is our 36th edition here on October 6, 2025. Your home for real football talk. We just went around the NFL universe in the first segment, top storylines, key performers, and news that you need to know to get your Monday morning kicked off properly here on the All Access Football Daily Show. And I mentioned this is your home for real football talk, everything pigskin. So now we're going to turn our attention to the NCAA landscape. And we highlighted the Miami at FSU game on Friday and Saturday. A couple dozen of prospects in this game but most notably is Carson Beck. And Miami's on a bye this week. I'm going to see if I can pop up one of the Hurricanes beat writers to give us more insight on this team, because I really think Miami has a really good shot to win the Natty. And the more I watch Carson Beck, the more I believe that he is the most pro-ready signal caller in college football in terms of being able to step in from day one and start under center. Carson Beck's the guy, in my opinion. And you could talk about Fernando Mendoza of Indiana. They're up number 7 now in the AP rankings. Sure, he may have more upside. And Dante Moore is a very good looking prospect as well. He may very well go number 1 overall. But in terms of me feeling good about the pick and feeling like I got a guy, Carson Beck is my guy. And I don't know, like, there's not many flaws in his game. He's more of a pocket passer. And if you're, don't like the traditional pocket passer, and maybe he doesn't have the mobility or elusiveness of some of the other signal callers, but he can make all the throws, very efficient, smart with the football, has complete command of that offense. Carson Beck, to me, most pro-ready prospect, and it's not even close right now. All right. Florida State, they lose 2 in a row. They take a tumble in the AP poll. And then we talked about Alabama Vanderbilt on Saturday with Russell Landy. I thought Vanderbilt might have a shot. I was down there in August, visited them in training camp. It was a different feel, a different culture around this team. And, they hung around for a little bit, but Diego Pavier really likes to pop off his mouth. And you saw him take a kneel during the pregame warmups with the ball in the air, taunting the Alabama fans. And, Diego Pavier got outplayed by Ty Simpson and company. And we'll get to Ty Simpson later on in the show with more draft talk. But Alabama now up 2 spots, 4-1. They're ranked number 8, actually behind Indiana. And that's kind of funny when you think about it. But Florida and Texas, Arch Manning went down there to the swamp and disappointed once again. And I don't know, man. It's hard to stick with Arch amongst the top signal callers for the 2026 NFL draft. And I was one of these people who believed he could be in play, especially if the Saints had the number 1 overall pick. But it's just hard to justify. It's hard to state a case. And there's occasional flash plays and rare throws that only a few quarterbacks can make. But overall body of work, there's just too much misses, really. I mean, and even in clean pocket situations, just missing wide open receivers, off kilter throws. I mean, this Texas Longhorns team has got a long ways to go, and they are now out of the top 25 entirely, or preseason number 1, after that dreadful loss to a Florida program that was really down and out. And Billy Napier was on the ropes in terms of trying to save his job down there in Florida. And they got a big one there against Texas. So the Gators come out on top in the swamp. But the most disappointing performance has got to be the Penn State Nittany Lions. And you talk about teams who have fallen, players who have fallen, head coaches now who could take a fall. Penn State is all of the above. And Drew Allard, just a terrible outing against Nico Amalava, the UCLA quarterback, who got it done with his feet more than his arm. I think he had 3 rushing touchdowns, 156 rushing yards, something to that effect. I think 188 passing and 1 touchdown through the air. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but those are the numbers I think off the top of my head. But Penn State now, who was number 2 in your preseason poll, they have tumbled out of the top 25. And what do you make of James Franklin, who becomes the first top 10 team to lose to an 0-4 squad in 40 years? Not only that, for his career, he is just 4-21 against top 10 opponents, including 1-18 versus the Big Ten and 1-13 against Ohio State and Michigan when they are ranked. So James Franklin, somebody called him a program builder. If you remember, like, he built up Vanderbilt, took off for Penn State. He built, and now look at Vanderbilt now. He built up another program early on in his career. And, he's built up the Penn State program to be contenders, but they just never win a big game. They never get over the hump. And this was the year, right? They had their quarterback return, 2 lethal running backs, an awesome defense on paper. But after that UCLA loss, you just wonder, uh, does Penn State consider making a change at the helm? All right, Clemson, we mentioned them. They're not in the top 25, back in the top 25 just yet, but we mentioned it briefly on yesterday's show. The beatdown that Clemson handed Billy Belichick and the Tar Heels. And, I think Dabo Swinney did his buddy a little favor there and called off the Dogs because it looked like a high school team versus a middle school team. It was 28-0 early. And then Clemson takes their foot off the gas pedal. Who knows? Maybe if they didn't, maybe they'd be in that top 25. Another interesting side note that's being reported now is Bill Belichick has put the kibosh on any member of the UNC staff from top to bottom. If you're in the building, you're not allowed to tweet anything positive about the New England Patriots, and that includes their quarterback, Drake May, who you would think UNC would want to use for recruiting purposes and profile or even highlight, but there hasn't been a single mention of Drake May on the North Carolina social media team, and sources are now reporting that Billy Belichick has put the kibosh on that, and definitely some bitterness, hard feelings, and football's a game of business, Bill. Can't take it personal. All right, now, in terms of the top 25, the SEC is holding strong with 9 teams. The Big Ten has 5, Big 12 and ACC with 4 apiece. But I really do think that Ohio State, who got 40 first-place votes, Miami with 21 first-place votes, and Oregon with 5 first-place votes, I think they have separated themselves as the cream of the crop in terms of this college football season thus far. Now, I'm not counting out the teams behind them like Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana. They come in 4, 5, 6, and 7, all undefeated at 5-0. We mentioned Alabama at 4-1, and Bama's got number 14th ranked Missouri, who's also 5-0. So another marquee matchup for the Crimson Tide on deck. And Indiana is really going to get battle tested. You talk about a marquee matchup between Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. This is going to be electrifying this Saturday as number 3 ranked Oregon hosts number 7 Indiana. And Ohio State will also face another challenge. Of course, Indiana blew Illinois out of the water a few weeks back, but Illinois has since rebounded. They're ranked number 17 in the country. They will host the Ohio State Buckeyes this week, who just obliterated the Minnesota Gophers 42-3. Of course, Oklahoma 44-0 against Kent State. They actually fall a spot in the poll, and John Mateer should be coming back, their quarterback, there in the next week or two. A&M handles Mississippi State, and Texas Tech still lurking there just outside the top 10. But Texas Tech, out of the Big 12, might have something to say about this college football playoff. They beat Houston pretty handedly, 35-11. Georgia takes care of Kentucky. Let's not forget about the Bulldogs after their Alabama loss. And Mark Stoops on the hot seat saying he's not going to step away from that job. He's not going to resign. Could he get pushed out the door? We shall see. And, you had Notre Dame with a big win over Boise State there, Illinois over Purdue. How about Virginia? We're tooting Wahoo Nation over here, and they pull out another stunning overtime victory against Louisville on the road, 30-27. Virginia moving up the AP top 25 polls, but you wonder just how much these polls really mean. And I've said this in the past, like as soon as the College Football Playoff Committee comes out with their rankings, this AP poll means nothing. I'd actually like to just see them do away with it altogether. But that's the barometer that we have to gauge these things as of right now. And some other news around the college football landscape. Deion Sanders scheduled to see his doctor today. And one of the reporters noticing him grimacing in pain throughout that Colorado game over the weekend. And he said he thinks he's got more blood clots. And as somebody who has dealt with that issue. We definitely are sending our best vibes over to Coach Prime there in Boulder. All right. That covers most of what I wanted to get to on the college football landscape. All right, we're going to take one more commercial break, come back, talk some NFL draft and Canadian Football League action. Before we do that, I want to talk to you about the little promo we have going on. You see the Value Picks books going on in the background here. Our good friend Neil Stratton sent over a bunch of these Value Picks, and I got to get some in the mail to some of you guys who have taken advantage of this promo. It's a great offer. Value Picks, we're going to do it until the books run out. But my good friend Neil Stratton went behind the scenes of the 2016 NFL Draft 10-year anniversary and focused on 8 draft picks. Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Tyreek Hill being some of them. Okay, you've got testimonials from George Patton, John Spytek, Les Snead, Mike Martin, and over 100 interviews conducted with NFL general managers, front office executives, NFL scouts. So if you want to learn how the sausage is made, if you want to go behind the scenes of the war rooms and understand how some of these draft selections were made, this is the book. If you like the NFL draft, you will love Value Picks. And so what we're doing with the promo is like, share, subscribe to the show wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. That's easy. Go over to allaccessfootball.com, sign up for the annual pass, and use our promo code RICVIP. You'll get the 30% discount. That gets you down to $20. Okay, Value Picks in itself is a $20 value. You'll also get the 2026 NFL Draft Bible with your All Access membership, access to all of our draft insider intel. Of course, we just posted the Scout Notebook just this morning. All right, and as an added bonus, we're going to throw in a pack of Canadips courtesy of our new sponsor. Check out Canadips.com. These things go for about $35 a pop. So you talk about the Draft Bible membership, the Value Picks, the Canadips. It's a $75 value. You get it for $20, and we will drop those in the mail this week. We'll do that until books run out. Okay, so shout out to Neil Stratton, good friend of the show. We'll pop him up, I'm sure, again at some point in time. And my road dog compadre for the All-Star Game circuit will be on location at the Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine Bowl, some of the other All-Star games, of course, the NFL Scouting Combine. You see the promo that I'm rolling. We are really going to heat up when it comes to draft season. Just about 200 days away until destination Pittsburgh for the 2026 NFL Draft. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of those draft prospects who caught our eye over the weekend. And if we have time, we'll also sneak in some Canadian Football League talk north of the border. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Keep it locked.
RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football. And you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, the show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
My dad has a message for you. He said, you are watching All Access Football.
All right, we are back at it again here, moving and grooving through this hour of power. The time just flies by on the All Access Football Daily Show here, October 6, 2025, our 36th edition. Appreciate all the love and support out there. Please smash that like button, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the Twitter X platform. And we got a lot in here in this hour of power. We just did the college football landscape last segment. We had the NFL news and notes over in the A block. And of course, you can watch the entire episode in its entirety if you're just tuning into the show on the archives. All right, let's get to NFL draft talk, shall we? Let's continue the program with Ty Simpson. You know, each and every week, it seems like we highlight a new quarterback who emerges in terms of the NFL draft big board. And it's time to start talking about Ty Simpson, right? He was very, very efficient, masterful class there conducted by Ty Simpson against Vanderbilt. And, you know, he has taken an unorthodox path in the modern day NCAA landscape. It's rare to see a 5-star recruit go to a program and sit for 3 years, but that's what Ty Simpson did, son of a football coach, and he bided his time patiently, and it's paying dividends, right? You're seeing him play about as well as anybody in college football. In fact, he did throw his first interception. It only took 5 games, but he's got a 13-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And we mentioned Bama now back up to number 8 in the polls. And it's time to start talking about Ty Simpson as a Heisman contender, as maybe a potential first-round pick in the NFL draft. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's smart with the football. He did throw some lasers into some tight windows now, so don't get it twisted. Ty Simpson can make the throws, and he just shredded the Commodores. And you just wonder now, what is the ceiling for a Ty Simpson? And of course, we posted all of these scouting reports on the website over at allaccessfootball.com if you want to follow along at home. But, you know, Ty Simpson now playing very well. And, you know, what is it that he can't do? He seems to have all the tools in the toolbox, doesn't he? I think the biggest hurdle for him in terms of NFL evaluators is going to be the track record of 1-year starters, because he really is. I mean, he's 4th year in the program, but he just has 1 year of starting experience. And, you know, that track record doesn't exactly bode very well. You have a very hard time finding 1-year starters who have been successful at the NFL level. You think about Anthony Richardson, you think about Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. You think about Mark Sanchez. I hate to bring up a sore topic, and we got into that a little bit on Sunday's show. I don't really want to waste my time on that today. We hope he gets well, but 1-year starters just do not pan out at the National Football League. So what I'm thinking is there could be a big NIL payout from Alabama waiting for Ty Simpson after the season. And, you know, maybe he's a contender for the 2027 NFL draft, but not a strong 2026 NFL draft class. So maybe Ty Simpson does consider dipping his toes into the draft pool. We shall see. Jonah Coleman, you know, playing out west, He's been on our radar now for several years. He's a pint-sized runner that packs a big-time wallop at 5'8", 6/8 inches, and he is rock solid at 229 pounds. And you saw him do it this week with the Huskies. 20-point come from behind victory, a tale of two halves, but his lower half is just thick. It's dense. He runs low to the ground. He did it running. He did it passing. Had a phenomenal day. And despite being a smaller back, he runs with power, very good pad level, and just a natural pass catcher out of the backfield. Now, he's probably not a workhorse back at the next level, but you see just about every NFL team these days using a running back by committee approach. And Jonah Coleman would be an excellent addition somewhere in the mid rounds, I believe. Will provide tremendous value for your team at the next level. Another guy we're excited about, our guy Ryan Pagley, who couldn't wait to write him up, is Eric McAllister, the big play weapon out of TCU at 6'2", 202 pounds. And he's a little bit under the radar now because he's not getting the publicity or headlines as some of these other top wide receiver prospects. But, he matched up against Colorado and DJ McKinney, who is a potential first-round cornerback, and he took him to the woodshed, McAllister did. And he's just a savvy guy. Doesn't have a lot of explosiveness, but just a savvy route runner, finds the open seam in the zone, great footwork, and he is now getting the scouts' attention as a potential day 2 selection. Eric McAllister out of TCU, remember the name, and this name you should know by now. And we mentioned Florida State falls to Miami. They targeted Deuce Robinson in this game often, but not quite enough. Big 6'5", 223 pass catcher, very similar frame to Darren Waller, who's making plays all over the place, but a big bodied target, goes up and gets those 50-50 balls. He's explosive now. He can separate. He's got long speed, like his time speed, his combine speed probably won't be great, but his in-game speed, you see him create distance, get away from the defender, and he's been praised for his football acumen there by the coaching staff. He's got size, explosiveness, physicality, production. Could Deuce Robinson knock on the first round door? It's very possible out of Florida State. How about Damian George, a Florida offensive guard, just a mauler? He does have experience at tackle, but at 6'6", 359 pounds, I do expect him to stay on the interior, and he's got tremendous strength and power. You see him throwing those body jabs and moving defenders off their mark. He's got his upper body, lower body working in unison, footwork to mirror defenders, and it's just the power, especially in that run game. He's paving big rushing lanes for Mark Fletcher there down in Florida. Justin Jefferson, not the wide receiver, but the linebacker for Alabama, also makes our list. What did he have? 14 tackles and a big sack there, flying around the football field. Also forced a fumble. If you watched this game, you heard Justin Jefferson's name quite a bit. And he now, I think, is going to move up draft boards, probably more of a day 2, day 3 selection. His play strength needs to get a little bit better. You see him get washed out of some plays. He's just 6 foot, 218 pounds, the redshirt senior. So size is going to be an issue as he transitions to the next level. Michael Taffy out of Texas, 5'11", 6/8 inches, 175 pounds. He now has 32 tackles through 5 games, and he's a tackle machine. He had 151 tackles through his first 3 seasons. He's a hometown local product out of Austin, Texas, down there for the Longhorns. Fluid hips and footwork, able to keep pace with receivers in the pass coverage. Also, obviously, just takes great pursuit angles, tracking down the ball carrier, making big plays sideline to sideline against the run. And he's got versatility to play in the box, nickel, both safety positions, and he plays special teams, which tells me that's going to boost his draft value, especially on day 3 of the draft when you got all these evenly ranked safeties. Well, he plays special teams, so that can give him a little bit of boost or a little bit of bump on draft board. And one last guy that we highlighted, Jacoby Thomas, senior redshirt senior safety out of Miami. Dom Ambrose providing us with this one. 5 tackles and a sack for the second consecutive week. Physical playmaker, definitely lays the lumber. Versatile, scheme versatility. Again, another one of these guys, safety in the box, drops into coverage, can play either safety spot, uses his hands very well to jam wide receivers. Change of direction stood out, and he's up there now, playing up close to the line of scrimmage, calling out the pre-snaps, vocal leader in the secondary there for the Miami Hurricanes, who have national championship aspirations. So those are some NFL draft notables. Of course, we do that each and every Monday over at the allaccessfootball.com, the Scout Notebook. Ryan Paglia, Dom Ambrose, Lauren Davidoff, Jarrett Regal doing great things there. Of course, the 2026 NFL Draft Bible will have over 500 scouting reports. We are going to change the format, I think, slightly for the good in our 24th year of providing you independent draft analysis. Okay. Some of you may or may know I did work up north in the Canadian Football League as a member of the Edmonton Elks front office last year, and still doing some stuff up north for a few teams. But let's talk about the Canadian Football League, because they have 3 weeks left in the regular season and things are heating up. Things are getting very, very close. In fact, there's no clear-cut front runner at this portion of the season. It's a wide open Canadian Football League race now. Saskatchewan comes out on top of Ottawa. Trevor Harris, 341 passing yards. Saskatchewan improves to 11-4. And Drew Brown, back from injury. And, you know, I might have put the jinx on. I'm calling him the best young quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Well, he throws 3 picks. He gets benched for Dustin Crum. Remember him from Kent State. And, you know, Ottawa now 4-11. Word on the street is there could be some turnover there in the front office over in Ottawa after another debacle of the season. All right, Hamilton, they get back on the winning side of things, 47-29 over the Toronto Argonauts. Bo Levi-Mitchell, he's in the running for most outstanding player. 320 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Kenny Lawler, the touchdown machine, grabs 2 of them. And Toronto, they're down to like their 4th string quarterback. Chad Kelly's been out the entire season. Nick Arbuckle goes down. In comes Jarrett Dagey, and it was just a little bit too much for Dagey to get the Argos out of that hole. He did finish with 323 passing yards and a pair of touchdowns, but 4 interceptions is just going to get you killed in any ball game. Hamilton now 10-6, Toronto 5-11. One other game in action, BC 38-24 over Calgary. Nathan Rourke, the only signal caller to go over 400 passing yards this weekend in the CFL action. 414 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he wins the quarterback duel there between Vernon Adams, who also had 303 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. It comes down to turnovers. Now BC and Calgary both at 8-7, and you've got a full slate of action this week with Saskatchewan playing Toronto. Saskatchewan now 11-4. That'll be on Friday. Saturday, you have a doubleheader. Calgary 8-7 at Hamilton 10-6. And then the second game of the doubleheader, Winnipeg is playing very good now, coming off the bye week, 8-7 at Edmonton, 6-9. Of course, Winnipeg has been to the last 5 Grey Cups, winning 2 of them. And then Ottawa, we mentioned, treading nowhere fast, 4-11 at Montreal, who I think is a dark horse contender, now 8-7. And when Montreal is healthy, they're as good as any team in the Canadian Football League. So that's your CFL North of the Border report. And that is your hour of power here on the All Access Football Daily Show. It's hard to believe we got a lot in during the last 56 minutes or so between the NFL, college football landscape, CFL. We did some NFL draft watch just a little bit while ago. And for those of you just tuning in, one more time for the people in the back, we have a great promo going on over at allaccessfootball.com. we need your support here on the show. We're trying to hire a producer. If you like the content, if you like the show, if you like the NFL draft, I promise you'll love allaccessfootball.com. It's NFL draft season all year round at allaccessfootball.com. We never stop covering the draft. In fact, we've got top prospects for all the major Power Four conferences. If you click on our 2026 rankings tab, you can get the team-by-team prospect breakdown. We've got verified measurements, scouting reports, insider intel, background reports, projections. I mean, I don't know anybody covering the NFL draft as efficiently and more thoroughly on a daily basis than we are. And if they are, tell me who they are. I want to find them. I want to go study those guys and see what they're doing, because we've dedicated the last 24 years of our life to this. We're not new to this. We're true to this when it comes to the NFL draft game. So now with Neil Stratton giving us some books to give away, you get 3 for the price of 1. Subscribe over at allaccessfootball.com. Use the promo code RICVIP. Get your 30% discount. Gets you down to $20 for the year. It's 54 cents a day if you want to support the show. Get access to our insider content, the 2026 Draft Bible with over 500 scouting reports, the Value Picks book, and we're going to throw in a pack of Canadips, courtesy of Canadips.com, one of our new sponsors. So in total, you're getting a $75 value package for $20. We'll drop some of these in the mail today, and we'll do that until these books behind me disappear. And we appreciate all the love and support from you guys. We appreciate our sponsors and Value Picks, Neil Stratton from InsideTheLeague.com, of course, Canadips. And that's going to do it here for our 36th edition of the All Access Football Daily Show here on this Monday, October 6th, 2025. I was your host, Ric Serritella, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow, maybe with a guest, maybe not. We do have Howard Balzer scheduled for Wednesday's show. We'll get into the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, he is over there at USA Today for the Cards Wire Pro Football Hall of Fame voters. So we'll talk to him about the wide receiver logjam over there in Canton. Thursday, James Larson, who covers the United Football League better than anybody I know, he'll join us on Thursday to talk about these 3 UFL teams who are going to be relocating. A lot of changes in the UFL, and we'll get some of the head coaches and GMs on here throughout the show as we get closer. I think the UFL rookie draft is slated for October 28th. Tentatively, it keeps getting pushed back. I'm sure James Larson will have an update on that on Thursday, and we'll continue to book great guests here on the All Access Football Daily Show, because that's just what we do. So again, smash that like button on your way out the door on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Share it, like it, subscribe to it. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll be back. Oh, wait, I owe you guys a Monday Night Football prediction. How can I forget that? Thanks for hanging on to the thread. How can I forget? Now, just to recap, our most brutal week of the season against the spread this week. And I think a lot of people were feeling that way, but we are now 5-8 on the week, 5-7 yesterday. We lost the Thursday night football game, puts it at 5-8 for week 5, 43-35 on the season against the spread. And your Kansas City Chiefs roll into Jacksonville. Chiefs heating up at 2-2, Jacksonville at 3-1. Xavier Worthy with a little bit of bad news. Shoulder and ankle now popped up again on the injury report. He's going to be questionable. Trayvon Walker, we mentioned, had wrist surgery on Monday. He's looking like he's not going to play. The Jaguars were holding out hope, but looks like he's trending towards not playing. And we talked about it. KC rising from the ashes after their 0-2 start. Patrick Mahomes does what he does. That's why, pound for pound, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the leagues. He takes jabronis and turns them into playmakers, whether that's Tyquan Thornton, who's looking for his 4th touchdown game in a row, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Noah Brown. I mean, it's just unbelievable what Mahomes does. And I think we're going to find out now, this Jacksonville Jaguars team at 3-1, is that real or are they a mirage? And, you know, Travis Etienne, 124 rushing yards. He's the only player in the NFL with two games with over 120 rushing yards this year. Baishal Tootin, the rookie running back, has a touchdown in 2 of his 3 last games. And Travis Hunter had a season-high 42 receiving yards a week ago. However, whew, this is a tough one to call. I'm going to take the Chiefs here to win, but I'm going to take the 3.5. Give me the hook with the Jaguars. I like the Chiefs to win at 26-24, but I'm going to take the 3.5. I do think the Jaguars are for real. I think they are a contender. I think they will keep this close at home. I think Travis Hunter might actually get his first career NFL touchdown. So give me the Chiefs to win, but the Jaguars to cover. And, of course, we'll come back tomorrow on the Tuesday edition and talk about it and be about it. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate all the love and support. And keep it locked to the All Access Football Daily Show.
Hey, RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world famous All Access Football. And you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RICVIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
My dad has a message for you. He said, you are watching All Access Football.